Michael, you
Yes.
are painting in Ireland right now, and
Yeah.
I'm in North Carolina. What part of Ireland?
In your car. Yeah. I'm in a studio, indoors. I'm in Dublin.
Oh,
A surprisingly sunny Dublin today. It's usually lashing rain here, but today it's balmy. It's gorgeous outside.
great.
Yeah. But I'm usually stuck in here, so I never see it. I did just before this. I took a break for about an hour painting, so I could just
Hmm.
not be wrecked starting this. And I sat outside in the sun, and it's the first time I've done that in a long time. I'm usually just painting away, and I miss it.
Yeah, I have only been. I've been 2 times. The only time that it's really actually been sunny was one a buddy of mine's wedding, and it
Yeah,
was I believe, and it was one of the most uncommon weddings I've ever. And wearing, and it was like a thick, like smell. It was probably close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'm not sure what that is in Celsius,
I haven't.
but
Yeah.
that and extremely high humidity.
This was in
I look like a hobbit.
this was in you broke up there at the start of the conversation. This was in Ireland,
Oh,
was it?
yes, yeah.
Man.
I guess have you this yet? Hello?
Yeah, you're sort of breaking up there a bit. Again, you sound unusual.
Oh no.
Just the good parts of your conversation as well. It's just when you're getting into the meaty stuff.
uh, well, figures that it would happen now. I was just saying that I had been 3 times, and I was wondering if you had been to the States yet,
I've
traveling.
I've only been to the States once, to New York, about
Hmm.
what was it, about 6 years ago or something like that. That was cool. Yeah, I think stayed around Soho or Greenwich Village or something like that. Um, yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, and um, did a load of paintings of it and stuff, which is nice. But that's the only time I've been. I'd sort of wanted to go for years. I've seen your um, I've seen your Irish paintings actually. They're really nice.
Oh, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Those are from photos that I probably took in the 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, really?
Uh, I
Yeah. You paint grass very well. It's notoriously tricky. You paint it well.
I appreciate that. I'm not sure if I agree totally. I feel like I just stumble my way through grass most of the time.
Yeah, I think my whole technique now is sort of scumbling. Funnily enough.
Yeah. Well, I really like the fact that you're using the palette knife pretty early. Do you use just the knife right off the bat and kind of
Yeah, I
avoid doing the brushy stuff?
yeah, I use the knife straight away, get the paint on, and then what I do is I'll come in with the brushes sort of after that, just for the edges and things, and then I'll probably come over with the knife again and brushes again. But I tend to start with the knife and I finish with the knife, personally.
Okay.
Just the way I work. What about yourself?
Recently, I've been putting on very, like blocking in my paintings with palette and then scraping them out and kind of wearing them down a bit.
Yeah.
And then I go to brush, and then same kind of thing with you. I tend to finish all of my really thick, highlighted areas with the knife afterward.
Right. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, I find I when I started painting, I gravitated towards the knife, and it can just, I suppose it can give you lovely strong edges, you know. Even I suppose if you don't know what you're doing so much, it's like you can come out with some quite bold or strong paintings, as opposed to starting with brushes. It's very easy just to have no strong edges at all, you know. So I found I gravitated towards the knife very early on, and I've sort of gone back to it now after a good few years of just doing brushwork and stuff, you know.
I it when wherever I'm in.
Say that again.
Use the knife wherever I'm impatient in the painting.
Yeah, I'm always impatient. That's my problem. I'm a very impatient painter, I think.
Well, I think that's why your pieces tend to be so dynamic, maybe, is because you haven't really spent the time to sort of kill the energy.
Yeah,
And
I agree with that. I definitely believe in that, and trying to not knowing when to finish, you know, that way, or knowing when to leave something alone. It's something you got to be aware of. I find personally,
yes,
you know.
can can you tell me when you started painting and what made you start?
Yeah, when I started sort of properly, I think I was about 25 or maybe 24 or something. I was studying music and, you know, aiming for a career in like film scores and stuff like that. But I was just painting on the side just because I liked it, you know, that way. And but then my mum is a professional artist, so she encouraged me to put a few of my paintings in the gallery, you know, that way. So I did that, and over a period of time, a few of them sold and stuff, and it was very much hand to mouth. It's like you could sell one painting and then like actually live off it or get money for it and then sell another one. Whereas with the music, it was more of this just elusive dream, a very far off dream, and it's a tricky business, you know?
Yeah.
So I just found then that, I mean, I just kept painting, but I sort of ramped it up, and then I became like 5 days a week or 6 days a week just out of passion for it and drive, I suppose. And I've just done it ever since. So about 15 years or something.
Great.
I think. When did you start painting?
I started back in 2011 when I went to New Orleans. I had been a sculptor, but nobody was really doing street sculpture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I was at art school in the 90s, I just did kind of figure drawing and anatomy and sculpture and never really painted at all, and thought it was I don't know, it was too simple for me.
Yeah.
And I like the complexity of having to put things into molds.
Sure.
And then when I landed in New Orleans, I I really needed to make some money, and I thought maybe I could do it, and I gave it a shot, and it ended up working out. And I've been just due to the fact that you have to produce so much work, I've been painting uh, virtually nonstop for the past 9 years,
I was gonna
and
because you seem like, I mean, you're so prolific, like in a good way, you know. You you seem to be an amazingly dedicated painter. Do you know that way? I was gonna ask you, like, do you? Looks like you paint 7 days a week to me.
most weeks, yes. And I routinely don't show works in progress that I'm working on, like larger pieces
Yeah.
that are commissions. I don't really, on Instagram, show all of the pieces I paint that are absolute failures, except for sometimes in the stories when I'm feeling just like I should be posting some bullshit.
I'd never show that. Yeah, fair play to you.
And yeah, so I've just I had to paint as many small pieces as often as I could to make a living out on the street
Yeah.
in the markets. So I got used to it. I got used to like the turnover.
Yeah.
Like I started painting things like crawfish and beer bottles and oysters, like little still lifes on
Uh-huh.
tiny pieces of wood and panel. And I did sometimes up to 100 of those little ones a week in order to keep them going because I couldn't charge a lot for them
That's
because it was street art. So I just had to do quantity over quality.
yeah. That's bananas. 100 a week. Wow.
Yeah. I sometimes people ask me about how many paintings do I think I've painted, and I'm pretty sure it's up over 8,000. The
Wow.
problem with that number is how many paintings have I painted that I feel are pretty good, and that's like maybe 100.
Yeah, I hear you.
So yeah, I've just been doing a lot of stupid busy work basically.
But
Um,
I'm sure as well. There's probably ones that are actually really good, but you're just, you know, that's the way it is. You think that
oh yeah.
more are bad than other people would. You know what I mean? Sure. And so, like, I, like, before I met you or, like, you know, got in contact with you on Insta,
Yeah.
like, I was following your work for a while, and I sort of got the feeling that you were slightly nomadic and you were, like, traveling the country, painting in loads of different locations the whole time. Is that, like,
That's what I do.
yeah.
Yeah, I travel full time with my family in an RV
Oh,
and,
no
and,
way.
and
Wow.
paint and paint the country. Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
amazing.
yeah. It almost seems like a bullshit story because not a lot of people can figure out how to rearrange their lives to
Yeah.
do that. But
Yeah.
um, my wife is an herbalist,
Oh,
and she does the homeschooling with our daughters,
yeah.
and we have like a larger bus motor home. It's 36 feet, and we pull our car behind it when we travel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's quite big.
and yeah, we've been doing. That's how I got to New Orleans in the first place. We've been doing it for close to 12 years.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yep.
It's an
When I first
interesting
when I
lifestyle.
first got it, yeah, yeah. When we first got it, I had still been a sculptor, and I was traveling around helping other sculptors in their studios around the country. And
Yeah.
then I stopped that and got a job selling cookware
Okay.
out of like a big box store. I would go and demo cookware for people. And that's how I kind of got around the country a little bit more than we would have in the first place.
Uh-huh.
What kind of shitty jobs have you had, Michael?
What we had, I don't know, I worked in my first job was in a paint factory, funnily enough, but it was like industrial paint, It wasn't like, the finest oils or nothing. Then McDonald's, classic, Extravision, just sort of, teenager-y jobs. Then worked, I worked a ski season in the French Alps. That was pretty cool. Just like I said, the title of the job was general assistant, inverted commas, in a hotel. So like, basically, you do whatever they tell you to do. So it was sort of slave labor kind of stuff. It was like, I think it was 180 quid a month for like up to 85 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
But it was like one of the best experiences ever at the same time. I think they sort of know that, or they knew that. This was back in the 90s, so, they wouldn't get away with that now. But that was amazing. And did a load of painting up there too, funnily enough, on my days off.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I did a bar job then while back in Dublin after that. Worked in a bar with a bunch of mates while I was getting my painting together. And I was then like painting on my days off, selling them at this outdoor art market, which is every Sunday in Dublin, which I still do.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Where is that located?
it's on Merrion Square. It's one of the parks in the centre of Dublin.
Yeah, okay.
So, but then,
I think someone else told me about that at some point, and I don't think I remember seeing it or being there when I was in Dublin, but it sounded pretty cool.
It's nice, it is nice. The quality of the artwork varies wildly, but there is some good stuff there, There's a handful of pretty good artists there, which is nice.
Same thing in New Orleans.
I suppose it's just the same with everything, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Some good, some questionable. But
yeah. Well, usually the questionable stuff is a mixture of where exactly did you get this, and what exactly are you doing?
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So
I'm painting a 6" by 6" today, so this is going pretty quick for me. What size do you have there? Is that like a 12 by 12?
I think it's a 16 by 16. It's a centimeter.
Oh, a 6. Okay.
It's what is that? It is a 30 by 30. So is that 16?
Okay. Yes. Yep.
I find any smaller and I start getting a little tight or something, but just because of the knife, I like to sort of, be able to move the knife around. But,
yeah. Something I've noticed as of late is that the larger I paint, I tend to be very, very tight in some areas.
Yeah.
And then really loose in others, and it kind of varies widely over the entire surface. But because I started off painting everything really small, and I still do a lot of smaller daily pieces, I think just my eye has gotten used to balancing very small pieces of paint
Yeah.
with the direction that I'm moving it. So I actually struggle more um, with maintaining marks and energy for larger work than I do with smaller work, which I find is kind of the opposite of most people that I hear speak about it.
It's yeah. You do seem to you paint small really well. I find that tricky. I sort of have found myself that if I paint a lot of small works, I find large works a little daunting at first again to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And then the opposite is true as well. If I'm painting a load of big works, small works feel a bit weird to me for a painting or two, I think. But I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to mix on this small glass palette on my lap in the car here,
Keep forgetting
and I
her.
have it kind of attached to this weird piece of plastic, and I'm showing the video right now, my palette here,
Oh yeah.
and it keeps on wobbling on my lap. I hope it's not making too much of a weird noise for everybody.
So what? Are you just using plain oils there, or are you using
I'm
medium?
using water soluble oil.
Aha.
So that enables me to paint somewhat around my kids and my puppy in a tight space
Yeah.
and not worry about the smells of solvent. I have a kind of a method of working inside when I have to, and then taking pieces outside, cleaning up, storing, and I'm pretty careful about it. And the water soluble oils works for me really well because I can still paint in oil and not have the solvent smell.
Handy, all right. Yeah, I bought some recently with that Plein because I have a little dog, and I used to bring him to studio, but now I don't because of his little lungs and possible toxicity and stuff.
Yeah.
And I did get some a couple of months ago, but then I sort of hit on something else, and I've been sitting there. So uh,
What was the something else that you hit on?
I can't remember actually. I think it was just my wax mediums, So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was experimenting with wax mediums, and I just I felt, they really work for me and for my finish and stuff, and sort of everything. So I was like, right, scrap that. I'll just stick with these, and he can come up the odd day when I'm not using any white spirits or something.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah. I actually have gotten used to not using any mediums at all. I use straight paint.
Do you? I was
Yeah.
gonna.
I don't even use water, even though they're water soluble oils. I
Yeah.
don't thin anything.
Uh-huh.
I just adjust the way that I apply it,
Yeah.
and I do kind of a method of like scraping if I have to, or um, if I need to make it look more like it was a thin layer. I have really gotten into this new thing of taking the back side of the brush or my palette knife
Yeah.
and cross-hatching.
I've seen you
And
making marks with the back of the brush. I noticed that actually.
yeah, it adds a lot of interesting dynamic to it. And because I worked so often for so many years in clay and wax,
Uh-huh.
and I was making those tool marks in
Yeah.
order to find the forms, it sort of is comforting to me in a weird kind of way.
You understand, right? Yeah. It's good, but it adds more interest as well, and dynamism, if that's the word, to the details. You know, there's more going on. I like it.
Yes. Huh. So, you mentioned that you were getting ready for a gallery show and doing some promo work for that. Is that right?
Yeah. I have a small online solo show in my Dublin gallery, the Doorway Gallery. I think it's opening on the 5th of October. So it's just like a week long, and each of the gallery artists gets a week each, that way, for some new work. And so I've been getting that ready. I think it's finished now. Had to do a studio visit video, which I sent you. And then there is a question and answers sort of interview, which we're shooting on Tuesday. So that should be fun.
Yeah. Have you done one of those question and answer interviews before?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Nobody has ever really asked me to do a formal Q&A for anything I've been a part of, so I've never had to deal with it.
Yeah.
And they're probably better off for not having asked me, because I can come up with some weird fucking answers. And it's just in this kind of naive pursuit to be as like transparent and honest as I can when I answer things about my own work.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes it's, better just to gloss over things or use a generalization. And because I have so little tact, I won't. I'll just fucking take it and run with it like a crazy person.
I don't know. I think like from the Paintcast that I've seen of yourself, I think you're a pretty good talker. It sort of made me feel like with this, because I tend to not know what's gonna come out of my mouth next. I prefer to communicate like through my art, but it sort of gave me some level of comfort knowing that you're a bit of a waffler, and that was cool. So you could probably keep it going.
Yeah. Another thing that kind of I like, but it kind of pisses me off is when you're working small. Like, I see that you have a lot of the kind of that warm yellow peeking through areas, and I started with pink, so I have a lot of like the pink underpainting showing through.
Yeah,
but then there are areas where I wish it was like half. Like, it's way too intense, and then when I try to put a brush or a knife mark over it, it conceals it completely, which is not what I wanted.
Right.
And then I feel when I try to get it back, I'm being kind of nitpicky, and yeah.
Yeah, I suppose like that kind of thing, I've never been good at that either. I tend to stain my canvases a single color like yourself. I tend to either sort of orange or pink or a sort of like a Naples yellow or something. But like to have the foresight to know, oh well, my painting's going to graduate here, and this is going to be here, and this is going to be here, and put different colors. I admire that, but I can't visualize it.
Yep, and there's always a certain point in these recordings too when I feel like I started off strong. I have some good marks, and then I just start doing a few weird things that sort of begin to tilt in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
and it begins to look a little funky. I'm usually able to save it, though. It's usually like around the halfway point, which I just looked at the time,
Mm.
and it's about a half hour now. And it's the halfway point where I get a little thrown off.
Yeah.
Are you the kind of person to, if you encounter, like, when you're halfway through something, will you leave it, go to something else, and then come back to
As in, like, go to a different piece and then come back to that piece
it? Yeah.
and have like a few on the go. Um, Not really. No, I tend to do one at a time, but I do, if I have a show coming up or something, and I'm under pressure, I tend to try and juggle a few pieces. Doesn't always turn out well, though. I find sometimes the work can sort of suffer because of it, so I tend not to. Um, I find I'm not great at sort of accepting the different stages of a painting. You know, the way that like halfway through you can have like an ugly stage or something, or the very first, like when I'm blocking in, I want it to be the finished piece. So I used to watch people painting who seem totally okay with that, with the blocking in stage not looking finished, and I used to struggle with that a lot and just try and rush through it, but I think
Yeah.
I'm getting better at it now, do you know?
I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
I sometimes before I even begin a piece, I am wondering why it hasn't been finished yet.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate.
Okay. And I think I got way too dark in my road area of the painting. Um, I like the gray that you kept in the landscape.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, I decided that I was trying to go with a different kind of blue greenish tone,
Uh-huh.
and it's kind of bit me in the ass a little. Now I think I have to other pieces of paint over it.
Uh,
Uh, well, are, do you use like a normal kind of palette? Do you use any kind of pre-mixed colors? Like, what's your palette situation?
I'll show you now if you want.
Sure, I'll take a look.
Yeah, it's sort of chaos. I go through phases of trying to sort of strip my colors back to just like sort of the primaries and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
um, at the moment, three blues, one yellow, three magentas. So it's sort of chaos. But I tend to just sort of float around it and pick what I need, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know
Wow.
if you can. So it's messy.
But it's a nice big glass palette. I normally work on like an 8-inch by 8-inch glass palette.
Yeah, I love them. Yeah, I got it made just by like a local glazing company, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love it. Yeah.
For a while, I worked um, daily when I left the markets um, in the South and started to head out west again. I would work in Starbucks,
Yeah.
like coffee shops. So I had to have a very small, kind of compact, easy to clean up setup.
Uh huh.
And so that has just kind of leaked over into uh, the rest of my um, post-COVID life painting as well.
Yeah.
I really haven't sized up anything since I stopped painting in public. You know, I still paint outdoors.
Yeah.
Like I'll do plein air things. I just I don't really get the chance to actually paint around other people anymore.
Right.
And I don't know if, do you like that? Is that something that you can work with, or do you prefer to be all alone? Or
No, I prefer to be alone.
yeah,
I have done plein air painting in France, and um, yeah, I wouldn't do it here. I'm a bit self-conscious as well, I think. So, you know, I prefer to just lock the door, put on some music, and paint away.
yes.
So
I was discussing this with another artist that I had on a podcast interview, David Sandom,
yeah,
and he does the Twitter, the International Online Twitter Exhibit, and I was discussing how I needed to have people see sort of my successes and failures
hmm
as I did, sort of like almost like a trauma sort of thing. I don't know why it is that way. Maybe it's just because for so many years, like I made my living like painting around tourists, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and people who are primarily drunk.
Okay, that is a
And,
that is a very
and
specific group of people, yeah, or subset.
yes, and it's not exactly a healthy one to interact with them in that state and try to sell work at the same time.
Tricky. Yeah, I can imagine.
And I don't know. I think maybe I just got like used to it, or I even came to enjoy it in a weird way. And now I sort of seek to have other people around me watching me paint.
Uh,
And I don't even need it anymore. Like I have no desire in the conscious part of my mind for it. But I think
yeah,
in the background there's that inkling.
yeah, you have a compulsion, that's for sure. I know. I think, yeah, that's an interesting one. You know, now I need to step back here.
How far along are you? You look like you've covered a lot of ground, and it looks
Yeah,
fairly complete.
yeah, I'm nearly done. I need to. This is the moment I need to sort of just take a minute, step back properly, and because otherwise, I'll just start fidgeting probably, and messing my edges up. So, I like where it's going. You know, it's got
Yeah,
it's got something. I tend to like paint. I like to paint not so literally nowadays. I do a bunch of literal stuff, but it's more for training. Keeping my eye in, and then I feel much more at home when I sort of ditch it a touch and be not so literal with the sections. Use my instinct to touch. For me, I find my work sort of sits better like that. Feels more like mine or something.
hmm
Uh, let's have a look at yours there. How are you getting on? That's very nice. Very nice indeed. Yeah, the
yeah.
pink
I kept
pink flows
things
through
a
those flowers.
little. I kept things a little bit more muted than I normally do, and I was because every time I do one of these like evening blue hour blue skies,
Yeah,
I tend to go a little too far with my blue,
yeah.
and I don't really make the atmosphere as airy as I'd like to.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes my nocturnes almost feel suffocating, and and I want to try to move away from some of that.
They're really nice, though. I like your nocturnes.
Uh, I really like your yellow coming through. I mean, I think with this particular one, the yellow works better coming through than the pink, especially in the area that you sort of have like a large piece of your ground that's showing through.
Yeah.
Towards the left-hand side of your darkest dark, and then between your lightest light, that area right there.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of really good attention there.
Yeah, that's my focal point there.
So, are you normally this fast with your normal work, or is this just like today?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm probably like, I feel like there's a stopwatch on me probably because we're filming. Do you know that way? And like,
yeah.
You want to paint well because it's like, on the spot, that kind of thing. So I'm probably like a little faster than I would be. Actually, quite a bit faster. Let's be honest. Because I would be like taking loads of breaks and, just wandered around and stuff. But I'd be fairly quick anyway, especially on something so small, like a 30 by 30. I can cover them quite quickly with the knife, you see. If I'm painting a bigger one, now it'll take me about a week probably or something, of coming back to them every day and touching them up. And I probably would touch this up a few times as well over the course of the week, So yeah, definitely faster today.
Okay, I think I am close to being finished here myself.
Cool.
I think I just want to mix one more kind of a little bit more intense green, if I can manage it, and put that up against my tree line, and then I think I'm going to sign it. Now, are you ready to sign it at this point, or are you going to come back to your piece? And I mean, people who are watching have seen you kind of paint the majority of it right now.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you feel like it's finished.
Like I will paint for as long as you paint, basically. Like you're still painting, I'll take a step back and have a look and
Okay.
If you're finished, I'll go grand. I think it's nearing acceptable. I'm not sure about the ground, the foreground, but that's where probably my next decision would be.
Yeah.
I might sort of chisel away at it a bit more and see what happens. Get a bit more, maybe get a bit more, what is that called? Perspective going or something. Be a bit more true to the perspective.
So, do you listen to mostly music in your studio, or do you do the podcast thing while you paint?
Yeah, I listen to music, mostly classical, like real mellow classical. A lot of Peter Gregson and Max Richter and stuff like that. Arvo Parks as well. That kind of stuff. I find it gets me really in the zone with my pieces. Yeah, I don't tend to listen to podcasts at all. Here, just music. It suits the work for me. I find if I listen to sort of like epic, sort of angelic, classical music, my light source gets much stronger. in my focal points.
Really?
So I find they suit each other well. Now, this needs to be sort of bolder, I think. Here. Do you listen to music?
Yes. Mostly I'll just go through and put sort of shuffle on
Yeah.
and fast forward through songs that I'm not really feeling. But
Hmm.
yeah, I've been into lately with, the past maybe 5 or 6 pieces I've posted on Instagram. I think mostly Depeche Mode, Radiohead, sort of 90s, early 2000s. I've
Uh-huh.
been listening to those albums,
Yeah.
and it's sort of in a college nostalgia-y way.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it kind of varies per season, too.
Right. Yeah.
But, yeah, I was, I always like your music pairings in your stories to your pieces.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's
Yes.
my thing, and that's sort of that's showing the influence of that specific tune on that specific piece at the time. For me, I get a kick out of it, because it means something to me, but
Yeah.
the people might kick out of it. Come on.
Well, most people, I think, don't care about anything. I think when most people are flipping through, they're not. You couldn't actually categorize them as being even fully awake.
Yeah.
I think it's a really it's flipping through Instagram, looking at things is I think the flipping part and kind of the images that you sort of are moving past your line of sight
Hmm.
is the meditation, and not so much you know the reading part. It's not like 100 years ago when people were reading magazines,
Yeah.
periodicals, the newspaper, and sort of informing themselves in that way. I don't think that people really are looking at Instagram to inform themselves of much of anything.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I think they're just flipping to flip, and that's okay because that's what I mostly do.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, like I suppose if you look at how do you use it, yeah, I tend to flip through it for paintings and modular synth, sort of little jams. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there may be an element of sort of slight mindlessness about it. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
sort of daydreaming too. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where this reference photo um, is. Now, normally I let the that I have on choose
Yeah.
the photo,
Yes.
and
You did ask me.
and I asked you, and then you threw it back at me. So I sent you 6 different sort of blue sky paintings at different times of the day,
Yeah.
and you chose this one. And when I was looking through, I know where the other 5 were taken. I'm not 100% sure where this one was taken. I want to say that this was somewhere in Tennessee.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm thinking somewhere in Tennessee, and I'll just leave it at that.
Well,
I don't know if that's what I'm going to title my piece, but
that's a good title.
yeah, well, I have to tell you, like, I think this is it for me. I think that this is all that I can really say in the space that I gave myself.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I am good. I'm good to sign, I think.
I think I might be as well. Good timing.
Yeah. Now, did you just turn yours upside down?
Yeah, just
Oh
to
yeah, okay.
just to see if something sticks out, because sometimes something glaringly obvious then, and you know, um,
Yeah.
I find it can sort of save me from a little embarrassment sometimes.
I like that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was trying to clean a desk off here, a little side table to so I could put the tripod on for today's recording, and I found this mirror which I'd gotten, and I was after an art class I did before years ago, where the guy would he'd use it to flip the painting, do you know that way?
Oh, okay.
Um, um, and he was like a portrait figurative painter, so
Oh.
he put it up to his eye and it would flip the painting, and you can see all your all your mistakes in proportion really easily.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't
Uh,
used it in years, so I just found it there, funnily enough.
do you happen to remember the artist's name offhand?
What is his name? He's an Irish guy. I can't. Oh,
Because
Nicholas something.
okay, because I also know an Irish painter, Mick O'Day, and he said something similar to that.
Right.
And he also does some figurative work, I think.
Okay.
And I met him through like a school exchange back in the 90s.
Right. Okay.
And
The name
I think,
is familiar to me, funnily enough.
yeah, so I just signed mine on the top, Michael. We're
On the
just signing
top.
yours.
Wow.
Yep, right there.
Yeah. Let's get a little bit of this going. It's really tricky painting with the camera in front of it. Signing is going to be hard. It was a new experience, I'll tell you. You don't know how much
Great.
you don't know how much I just wanted to go in front of the camera and be able to paint right in front of it, but you wouldn't be able
Oh
to see
yeah,
it.
that was my first inclination too, and I ruined a few different videos by having my hand too far in front and doing this the whole time,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think actually that I'd be able to get a decent angle for this today, but it worked, surprisingly. Let's see.
It sounds like there's a lot going on back there.
Does it? Yeah, I'm frantically trying to get this signed. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I think we're done.
Fantastic. Hey man, it was so much fun painting with you. Now, are you basically just on Instagram for people looking for more of your work, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I have a website and stuff as well and Facebook, but to be honest, I prefer Instagram now. It's the user interface, and it's really good for visual
The
artists, I think, and really good for viewing art and compiling your art, because people can scroll through your whole catalog really easy. So I find my website is more, it's a bit of an add-on now, and Instagram's my focus. So there's the best place to catch me, I think. if you want.
Okay, great. Hey, man, thank you so much for doing this today.
No, and thank you, Chris. Thanks a million for having me. I really appreciate it. It's lovely to paint with you.